The following program is the work of the broadcast students at the British Columbia Institute of Technology. BCIT Magazine features news stories from around the Lower Mainland which were produced over the last week. Responsibility for the content of the show rests completely with the students and their instructors.
Coming up on BCIT Magazine, is Vancouver on track to be the greenest city in the world?
How COVID has changed the beautiful game.
You can trick or treat and help others. Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Hannah Garnett.
And I'm Chantel Tanaka. It's been a busy week in the news world, so let's get started. Voting day for the 2020 provincial election is on Saturday. This year, officials added an extra time to help you get your vote in. Reporter Ben Gabao has the story.
This year's provincial election is being held on October 24th, but some voters got an early start. During 7 days of advanced voting, the decision helped ease physical distancing concerns for those voting in person.
I'm going to be going to a polling booth early on to relieve strain on the 24th when a majority of people will be at the polling booths. Along with that, it also works with my schedule.
After NDP leader John Horgan's decision for a snap election, plans had to be accelerated. Luckily, advanced voting was already underway.
And that decision was made earlier this year when we were doing contingency planning for what at that time was a potential pandemic during the election.
Over 700,000 mail-in ballots were requested this year, as opposed to 6,500 in 2017.
That'll probably end up being the way of the future. Will be mail-in ballots, right, or some kind of non-physical ballot, right?
Early voting not only helps those most at risk, but also individuals with complicated logistic reasons.
It makes it easier for me to find a time during the week that I can actually get to a poll, make sure that I get my vote in, and make sure that it's heard.
All election staff wear masks, face shields, and provide hand sanitizer to voters. You are even encouraged to bring your own pencil. Polls remain open until 8 p.m. on October 24th. Ben Gabauer in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
Polls for the upcoming election continue to show the NDP in the lead, with the Liberals and Greens trailing by significant margins.
People around the world took part in International Shakeout Day recently. This earthquake preparedness drill was a little different this year to COVID-19. My co-anchor Chantel Tanaka tells us how.
British Columbia Shakeout.
780,000 British Columbians registered to participate in this year's Great BC Shakeout. This Burnaby Public Library did too, but held their drills a bit earlier than most.
We changed the time. We did not want to have the public involved in this drill, as we normally do, because of COVID this year. We participate every year for two reasons. One is because libraries present unique challenges in earthquakes and other emergency situations, because of all the tall book stacks and the heavy books that are on them.
Seismologists say the annual drill is a good reminder for everyone in the province because BC is the most prone to damaging earthquakes in Canada.
We had several actually large damaging earthquakes in the first half of the 20th century, but since 1946 it's been relatively quiet in this part of the province, and that has unfortunately lulled people into a false sense of security.
Although this year's earthquake drills are looking a little different, ShakeOutBC still recommends that British Columbians try the earthquake drills at least once in order to gain that muscle memory of what to do in the event of an earthquake. Due to COVID-19 concerns, organizations with in-house staff had to meet physical distancing requirements. But team members who work remotely practice virtually with their families. Bird says the recent changes in climate will have an impact on how drastic the effects of the next major earthquake could be.
It does exacerbate the effects in ways like if you have sea level rise and then you have a tsunami, the tsunami inundation is greater. and it's more impactful.
Last year, 1 million people registered to participate in the Great BC Shakeout. Chantel, Tanaka in Burnaby for BCIT Magazine.
If you're a renter and you have a pet, it may have been more challenging for you to find housing during the pandemic. Reporter Aidan Doherty explains why.
This is Scotty up here. Scotty!
Maria Sorosky is the co-founder of the Vancouver Orphan Kitten Rescue Association and has personally witnessed how Vancouver's housing issues have affected pets.
We've had a lot of people phone us that they can't find housing, they have pets, they don't know what to do, they want to give up their pets because they can't find housing, they're desperate.
Renters such as Mandi Sinclair, who struggled finding housing over the summer for herself and her cat Maui.
I probably could have found something in a month versus 4 months out here if I didn't have a pet.
Sinclair felt like she was cornered.
I had to leave just because there wasn't any other option for that point.
According to the provincial government website, under the Residential Tenancy Act, a landlord can restrict the size, kind, and number of pets and can make other reasonable pet-related rules that the tenant must follow. Sure. Landlords such as James Ravensbergen use a pet policy in his apartment.
I do have a no pets policy. I'm allergic to cats, and so I want that renter not to have a cat in the building because I'm planning to move back into that apartment.
The BC SPCA says in BC, 1,500 pets are surrendered annually by owners unable to find housing. A campaign led by the organization this year for the prohibition of no pets clauses was unanimously approved by the Vancouver Council. The motion will now pass to the provincial government. After the motion was approved, Mayor Kennedy tweeted, "More than ever, pets are critical to so many renters' mental health and well-being." The BC SPCA has adopted out around 4,500 animals during the pandemic, and at the same time, adoption inquiries is up 50%. Now, pets such as Seamus here can be the best of friends and the greatest companions during this tough time in the pandemic. For BCIT Magazine in West Vancouver, I'm Aidan Doherty. Come on, let's go, let's go.
Vancouver City Council plans to create the greenest city by 2021, but are they close to reaching that goal? Lauren Edwards has more on the story.
Vancouver City Council is discussing the Climate Emergency Action Plan next month, coinciding with their goal to be the greenest city by 2021. The City of Vancouver works with Innovation Hub City Studio to implement the sustainability goals.
There's all this other intersectionality and support in between the multiple programs, as the city is also looking at, how do we actually bring sustainability internally, and how do we bring sustainability for long-term planning?
Ways to become the greenest city involve creating more walkable communities, accessibility to clean water and food, and reducing landfill waste. A city council meeting today showed the actions in place to reach Vancouver's sustainability goals. Last year's progress report showed some achievement, but there are still more actions to take. Reducing our carbon footprint can be achieved by walking or cycling as an alternative to driving or taking transit.
Next steps are to continue strategy implementation and to integrate adaptation and multi-hazard resilience into the Vancouver plan.
Every city should have the ambition to be the greenest we can be.
In today's meeting, Mills added the impact of climate change could become unmanageable and costly. The Climate Emergency Action Plan will be presented by the Vancouver City Council on November 3rd. Lauren Edwards in Vancouver for BCIT Magazine.
Coming up after the break, parents face a Halloween choice.
And we hear from a local sportscast about overcoming racism.
Going live in 3, 2, 1. BCIT Television and Video Production. You've got potential.
Welcome back to BCIT Magazine. A local soccer academy has returned to play games in Richmond, but there are new health measures in place to keep players and coaches safe. Sebastian Pereira has more.
Local soccer academy TSS Rovers has had to wait 7 long months to return to the field due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But the upcoming games will have plenty of changes from the usual match day experience.
We have a fairly strict mask policy. So when it comes to a training session or a game, as soon as the player comes out of the car in the parking lot, they have to be in a mask.
TSS's mask policy isn't the only change they've made. In addition, the club has set up hand sanitizers around fields, and coaches must also be wearing masks when instructing players from close range. But perhaps the most significant change to the game has been the replacement of throw-ins with kick-ins in order to minimize direct hand-to-hand contact with the ball.
The throw-in thing is just like so weird. Every time the ball goes out, it's like pretty much a free kick for the other team. So we had to adapt really quickly to that.
We've done this when we played in friendly matches. We said, okay, the ball can't leave the ground or it has to stay below knee height. And if it goes above knee height, the referee's going to blow it down, and then the other team gets possession of the ball.
The last thing Cory wants to see at the club is an outbreak of COVID among a group of players that could possibly reach parents or elders who are more vulnerable to the virus.
It's not necessarily about just the safety of the players. It's really about the safety of the players' families.
At the end of the day, the most important part of the return to play process is for kids to continue enjoying the beautiful game while doing so in the safest way possible.
We got all these COVID measures and all you guys are high-fiving each other. Weird.
Sebastian Pereira Pabon in Richmond for BCIT Magazine.
BC's top doctor, Bonnie Henry, has announced that BC is officially experiencing a second wave of COVID-19. The news comes as Canada tops 200,000 cases.
Halloween is right around the corner, and parents are facing new challenges celebrating the holiday with their children. Jordan Nelson has the spooky details.
Pumpkin, 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 pumpkin.
Halloween is looking a little bit different for families this year. COVID-19 has forced parents to rethink how to celebrate the holiday with their children. Ashley Perkins is a mother of 2 young kids and says she's taking them out trick-or-treating.
I was hesitant about it because of everything that's going on, but I believe that Halloween is Halloween and it should still be something that the kids get to enjoy to do together, and for us to do something together as a family.
Even Perkins' youngest child, Caden, still wants to go.
Because I want COVID to be gone and I like to go trick-or-treating.
But over in the Bashir family, things are a little bit more serious. Vinod Bashir is immunocompromised and enforces strict protocols to keep him and his family safe.
We're going to stay home, and what we've decided to do is do something like Easter. We're going to have a little treasure hunt and a chocolate hunt in our house and make it a little adventure.
Bashir knows his kids understand why they can't go out and says it's going to be an adjustment for them too.
All the kids in the neighborhood from their schools, at least a big percentage of them who are going to school, are going to be going around doing their trick-or-treating. And so, you know, my kids, especially my 5-year-old and my 7-year-old, are a little upset about not being able to participate with everybody else.
Provincial Health Officer Dr. Bonnie Henry says if children are going trick-or-treating, then they need to be in groups of 1 or 2, not 10 or 15 like before. She says to keep it small and keep it local. Perkins says she just wants her kids to enjoy Halloween.
I feel like that's every kid's dream, is they can't wait for Halloween every year, and to not be able to go do it because of a pandemic that we're in would really, really suck for them.
Jordan Nelson in White Rock for BCIT Magazine.
We now go live to Jordan Nelson. Jordan, what are some ways we can safely trick-or-treat safely this year?
Well, the BC Centre of Disease Control is suggesting you wash your hands before and after you go trick-or-treating. They're also suggesting that you try to include a face mask as a part of your costume too. Back to you.
Thank you, Jordan.
Several professional athletes have spoken out against racism this year, but it's not just the players who are affected. Our reporter Bahul Sharma spoke to Hockey Night in Canada Punjabi host Harnarayan Singh about some of the challenges he's faced.
Pleased to have Harnarayan Singh from Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi, join me today. Harnarayan, how are you doing?
Doing well.
Awesome. Let's get right into it. So 2020 has been a year in which a lot has been made about fair opportunity and equality. As someone in sports media, being of your background and looking the way you do, talk to me about some of the challenges you face in the journey to getting where you are.
Of being a visible minority, I think initially there was also a sentiment out there that why isn't hockey being broadcast just in English and French? And so we had to kind of educate certain fellow Canadians as to some of the advantages of having hockey broadcast in different languages. But then also there's the straight up blunt racism that we sometimes experience just when you're walking on the street or in a store, or then on social media, where I've had comments from people saying that I don't want my hockey being given to me from a guy in a turban, or there's been those types of lately in 2020, as you touched on, there's been these comments that, shut up and talk about hockey. We don't want to be talking about other things like racism and that.
I got to ask you about the call. You have the pillow behind you, the Nick Bonino call. This call went viral. Talk to me about the moment you made that call and what was going through your mind and the response to it afterwards.
Once in a career, once in a lifetime moment. Just seeing the response from, just imagine in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, not that much diversity at that parade, but there was not only signs that said Bonino, 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 but there were also signs that said we love Hockey Night Punjabi. And it was really special to see that. I mean, we're a show based in Canada to a niche market, and there we are in a city in the United States of America and receiving so much love. I mean, it's the power of sports. It unifies us, and we didn't experience any racism at all in those days that we were there in Pittsburgh. And given everything that's going on right now, it's pretty special to be able to say that, how much we were welcomed with open arms.
Harnarayan, it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure.
Coming up, we meet a local artist who will inspire you with her jewelry.
And one SFU student is turning a profit during the pandemic.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Teresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
It feels like Halloween snuck up on me this year. There's not a lot to do.
What are you talking about? There's tons of spooktacular activities for the whole family. I'm Cory Letendre.
And I'm Robin Horner, and this is your community calendar for Halloween 2020.
First up, check out the Peonies drive-thru experience happening October 30th and 31st. $25 admission gets you a bag of goodies and some special peony treats.
If you're looking for less treats and more trains, head over to Surrey's Bear Creek Park for one of 2 rail adventures. There's the pumpkin ride for the kiddos and the Halloween scream for those looking for a scare.
Which one do you think you would choose?
Which, please? I'd rather take to the sky. Head on down to Flyover Canada's Howl Over Canada event to take a ride with a biker mama and her spooky sidekicks.
Well, this has been your community calendar for Halloween 2020. Thanks for getting spooky with us.
And don't forget to enjoy every last bit of candy.
Welcome back to BCIT Magazine. Several people have lost their jobs due to the pandemic. One SFU student decided to take matters into her own hands and start an online business. Seismologist checks it out.
20-year-old design student Gianna is building an empire one mask strap at a time amidst the coronavirus pandemic.
So I was always interested in starting my own small business, but because I was a university student and I was currently working at my part-time job, I never really had the chance to do so. With COVID-19 happening, I was laid off from my past job and I suddenly found myself with a ton of free time. So I figured this would be the perfect time to actually start something.
And with all that free time, Lee makes mask straps, which are used to help ensure whenever you take off your mask, it can comfortably stay on your neck.
The idea of creating a strap, kind of like how bags have the straps so that people don't forget them anywhere. So it was kind of that similar idea.
Lee sells the straps online via a website called Etsy, where she ships worldwide.
So my shop is through Etsy, and that is a shop where people can simply buy it however they want, and I provide the shipping and I ship it to my customers, and I mainly do the promotion on social media.
Mask straps have become more popular, especially for jobs that require masks for entire shifts, including waiters, grocery store clerks, and baristas.
Mask straps have been super helpful for me, especially when I'm on my breaks. If I want to get a quick drink of water, I can just rip it off and let it rest on my chest, and I can enjoy my break knowing that I didn't lose it. In fact, I've been losing it a lot less now that I've been using mask straps.
Gianna also provides free mask straps for teachers at SFU, as well as free mask straps for teachers in the Langley School District. I'm Sarah Sermati in Langley for BCIT Magazine.
A recent survey has found that 1 in 5 British Columbians has been tested for COVID-19. While testing goes up, BC's positive rate has stayed below 2%.
A well-known haunted house in Coquitlam was supposed to close forever after October 31st, but due to COVID-19, it will live to see another year. As reporter Maria Diamond tells us, that's good news for a local charity.
Every year, kids and families flock to one of Coquitlam's most popular Halloween attractions. Each year, for the past 20 years, this house entertains the community for a great cause.
It was just a given. I was in the hospital one day, the day after getting a slight operation, and they said, "What do you do?" And I said, "We just finished doing a big haunted house for Variety." And the nurse across the room said, "Oh, was that on Draycott Street?"
Yeah.
It's a place where you don't just walk through. The kids play, the parents have blood, they hang around, meet their neighbors. It's become, and we've had so many people say to us, "Thank you for doing this for the community," because it does bring the community together.
The Variety Halloween Haunted House wouldn't be where it is today if not for Barry and Lucille's daughter Vicky. She's been the single longest-standing fundraiser for Variety charity in its history, fundraising for 42 years since the age of 10.
In that 42 years, Vicky has raised over $500,000 for Variety.
The haunted house has been bringing the community in Coquitlam together every year over the past 2 decades. Some decorations will still be set up, but no garage displays. For trick-or-treaters, they will get their candy through a pipe, which will also be decorated. The house is so well known that even the mayor of Coquitlam is a frequent visitor.
I recognize their efforts have been long and exhausting, and they've done it for many, many years. But I will certainly miss their efforts.
It's a shame, I know, to quit, but it has really affected a lot of people, and a lot of people tell us this and they thank us for it.
I think I will be crying. I'm gonna miss everyone.
Maria Diamond in Coquitlam for BCIT Magazine.
Maria joins us now live. Maria, how much money has the haunted house raised for Variety?
Well, over the past 20 years, the haunted house has raised $113,000 for Variety charity. And after next year's haunted house, we're planning to sell all the decorations in a huge yard sale and hope to raise some more money that way. Back to you.
Thanks, Maria.
In light of Mental Health Awareness Month, a small business in Vancouver is reminding people to look at what brings them joy. My co-anchor Garnett takes a look.
These lockets may look like your typical statement piece from the outside, but the inside holds something much more meaningful. From necklaces to earrings, One Thing Message Lockets in New West creates handmade lockets with special messages inside for the wearer. 10% from every locket sold goes towards health organizations such as mothers battling postpartum depression. The owner feels it's important to support mental health awareness.
Because if we can give people the power to know that they bring some value, and by that we boost their mental health, I think that we can actually begin to understand each other during difficult times and come together as opposed to divide, which is what's actually happening in the world right now.
Each locket comes with a piece of paper to write down a special something or someone to look at when needing a pick-me-up during the day. Lockets can also include pre-made messages from people across the world to promote the spread of wellness from others to get an insight on their one thing that keeps them going. One registered clinical counselor says moods can change when seeing these special notes and explains why everyone should use them during times of weakness.
Yes, I think that it's really important for people to know what it is that supports them and how they can tap into that and to sort of use that really strategically when they face a hard day or when they face insurmountable suffering.
Bettini adds that the lockets have helped many of her customers overcome dark times and regain control of their mental health once again. So with that being said, remember to look towards what keeps you going after a hard day. In New Westminster, I'm Garnett with BCIT Magazine. If you have any questions regarding the show, you can contact us at bcit-broadcast.com or bcitnews.com.
This was BCIT Magazine. Don't forget to get out there and vote this Saturday. I'm Chantel Tanaka.
And I'm Garnett. Thank you for watching, and remember to follow Dr. Bonnie Henry's guidelines for a safe and socially distanced Halloween.